Okay.
And
Right.
welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines. We're speaking here with a gentleman, Kenneth Abramowitz, who is an author, and he's a lot more than that. Ken, you want to introduce yourself? I know your resume is a little too long for me to recall.
Yes, I am an author of a book called The Multifront War. I wrote it 5 years ago, and it discusses the 100 challenges facing America. I set up a website 10 years ago called SaveTheWest.com to help people understand the existential risks facing America. And I started all this activity on 9/11 when I said to myself, as an individual, I have to do something. And since I'm a business analyst in the healthcare field, and there's only one thing I know how to do, which is analyze, I said to myself, I'm going to analyze 9/11. Who did it? Why'd they do it? Why didn't we stop them? And that started a 25-year second career of mine of public service, to giving 100 speeches a year, writing an article every 2 weeks to help policymakers and just regular citizens understand the numerous challenges that we face.
Yeah, I was looking over a summary of the book, and you have the same attitude I have. I've been called a conspiracy theorist and so forth, although most of my conspiracy theories are coming true, so they're no longer theories in recent years. And, they don't believe, a lot of people don't believe that China, for example, is really our enemy. Most of those people think that Trump is our enemy, which is, a little wacky there. But it's amazing how so many people do not see what we're doing to ourselves, to our own country, and the West in general too. I mean, look what's happening in Europe. It's an invasion, an invasion without guns, really, but it may as well be because of the blood that's being shed over there already. I keep saying, and I can never step into Europe while the European Union is around, because I've not encouraged, but I've said that they need to bring back the guillotine. They need to bring back a crusade. They need to bring back their Viking spirit in the case of the Scandinavians. They need to bring back all their ancestors' barbaric courage and get rid of these invaders. They don't belong there. They are not going to assimilate, not in Europe, not in the United States. They have been taking over little by little. The Anglosphere is worse. England and Australia and Canada are practically lost. Although the Brits now seem to be revolting, just as the Germans seem to be, fed up with what's going on. What are your thoughts on this, and what are your warnings for people?
Well, everything you said is true, and that's what motivates me to do what I'm doing. And my best source of information is actually the words of the bad guys. Not that I speak other languages, but on YouTube, you can watch any leader say anything any day. And so I learn from the leaders, and when people are evil, I believe them. It's not very complicated. So, but to summarize, in what I call what we're in now, World War III, and we're fighting 21 mini wars. Let me explain that. There's three groups of bad guys, which I color code the reds, the greens, and the blues. That's the communists, like China, Russia, North Korea. The greens are the Islamists, like Iran, Qatar, Turkey. And the blues are the globalists, like the United Nations, World Economic Forum, drug cartels. In the EU, by the way, I put in the blue category. They're a globalist organization. And these three groups of
But they're
criminals,
under
they're all
influence of
criminal
the Greens.
organizations. They're all unelected. They're all dictatorships. And they use 7 forms of warfare to take over the world, because they all want to take over the world. And by the way, they hate individuals. They hate God. They hate the Constitution. They hate the Bill of Rights. They're just modern day dictators. Now, they use 7 forms of warfare against us, which I'll explain in 30 seconds. But if you multiply 3 groups of bad guys times 7 forms of warfare, there's 21 wars going on. Now, the 7 forms of warfare that they use against us are kinetic, that's when things blow up. Number 2, chemical biological. For example, the Chinese killed 1 million Americans with COVID and 1 million with fentanyl. Number 3, they use cultural warfare, that's words. By the way, we're all cultural warriors. We fight with our words, not with bullets. Number 4, we fight with economics. Number 5, legal. Number 6, demographics. Number 7, cyber. So these are the 7 forms of warfare and the 3 groups of bad guys, and there's the 21 mini wars that we're fighting. And we don't know how to fight 21 wars at the same time. I know how to do it, but we as society don't know how to do it. And that's why I do what I do.
These 3 different groups in the 7 wars, are they aligned together to do various battles? Like
Yes.
all 3 of them, let's say, do kaboom, all 3 of them? Okay.
Yeah, they're in cahoots with each other.
They are working in cahoots with each other. Yeah.
Now, they have disputes from time to time, but in general, they all want to take over the world and then kill the other one. In other words, if you could interview the Reds, they'd say, oh, I'm working with the Greens and the Blues now, but after I take over the world, I'm going to kill the Greens and the Blues. And if you talk to the Greens, they say, well, I work with the Reds and the Blues, but after I take over the world, I'm going to kill the Reds and the Blues. And so they're all criminal organizations. The one thing they have in common, and by the way, I call this World War III. I'm going to show to you in 1 minute why it's also World War I. In biblical times, every chapter of the Bible, the Old Testament, the New Testament, I call God versus the pagans. One chapter, the forces of God were winning. Another chapter, the forces of pagans. But eventually, the forces of God prevailed over the forces of evil or the pagans. What we're going on, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues are just modern day pagans. And we, the people of America, in Israel, 2 of the only healthy countries in the world, are basically representing the forces of God and the rule of law in the world of consciousness and morality against the Reds, the Greens, and Blues, who are all pagans, hate God, hate the individual, hate the rule of law. And so I tell people it's World War III and World War I simultaneously, as we're fighting a never-ending battle between the forces of good and evil. And as a final point, the forces of God believe that God created humans. The forces of evil, or the pagans, believe that humans create God. So you could say that that's a fundamental difference which can't be resolved through negotiations. And basically, one side's going to win and one side's going to lose. And I want the good guys to win.
You and me both. This reminds me, this alignment reminds me of the Axis powers prior to World War II, where Russia, Japan, and Nazi Germany figured they would conquer the world, and then they all had plans that after we're done, then we'll fight each other and we'll take over. So it's basically the same strategy.
So essentially, talking about is a spiritual war, and my question is, okay, we have God, and those people that are aligned with God, the divine source of all being, okay, they're in conflict with this opposite side, which is anti-life, so to speak. And
yes,
the thing
that's
is,
right.
Where's that being sourced from? Like, where are the roots of this corrupt force coming from? Because I can understand those people that are engaged in hedonism, okay, and narcissism, But the thing is that it's if we're to believe that there's a God that is, and I by the way, I do believe that and that we are in alignment with the design and the will of God, then my question is, where do we see the first sparks being laid? What is the fundamental conduit, the connection between the anti-God versus connecting to his followers, so to speak, or hers?
Well, what's going on is really a basic in human nature. We all have good aspects of ourselves and bad aspects of ourselves. So, but we all, the force of good, we believe we live under the rule of law. So there's rules. By the way, you can make it as simple as a boxing match or any sports match. There's rules. There's a rule book, right? And you have referees who make sure every side abides by the rules. Well, what if you were part of the other team and you say, I just want to win. I don't care about the rule book. And I will do anything to win. And I'll even pay money to the referee to look away when I do bad things, because the most important thing is to win. The ends justify the means. So you're dealing with human nature, which is a battle between morality and immorality, or consciousness and no conscience. And so, for example, what if I said, go back into biblical times, and I talk to some pagan on the street, and I interview them, and I say, oh, I have a great idea. You should abide by the 10 Commandments. And this could be done or in early Christian time or early Jewish time. And you say, here's the 10 Commandments. You should obey all the 10 Commandments. And the person says, I'm having a lot of fun being a pagan. I don't have any rules right now. I can kill people. I can steal. I can take people's wives. What's the problem? I don't like the 10 Commandments. And so this battle is a basic battle of human nature. Of, do you want to live by rules of civilization or by the rules in the jungle? And you can see that in round numbers, half the people in the world live under dictatorship and half the people live in democracy. And the reason it's not stable is the dictatorships want to take over the world. They don't want us to be free. They don't want us one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Another way of saying the same thing, we believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 100% of the population. I don't care who you are, 100% of the population minus the 10% who are criminals. The bad guys, the forces of evil, the pagans, believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 10% of the population, namely the 10% who are criminals. So this is not a reconcilable difference. And that's why it's embedded in human nature. It started whenever you think humans started, that's when this battle started. And we're just the current generation battling this conflict between good and evil, God and paganism.
Okay. So essentially, it's about it's either ego driven, all about myself, all about my own personal satisfaction, versus altruism, which is the recognition that those things that are outside of me, I have affinity with, and I feel for them, and I'm somewhat connected with them. I'm living a more expansive life instead of a contractive, self-centered life.
To make it even simpler than that, think of the golden rule. Do unto others as you expect others to do unto you. It's not much more complicated than that.
Yes.
But if you're evil, you say, do unto others whatever you can get away with. The hell with them. So you see this fundamental conflict. It's a simple conflict.
The problem with the golden rule is that it's relative to the person speaking, and if he's perverse, then it may not be a good example. But I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say ego-driven is not necessarily bad because your ego drives you to, in a perfect, for example, capitalist society or a society like the United States, to better your life and better your life for your descendants too. And that's not a bad thing as long as you're not, walking over other people to do it. Then then the morals and ethics come into play. But if you do it honestly, like most people who've become wealthy have done it honestly, and there are some who have not done it so honestly. I mean, Sam Walton founded Walmart. He was a good guy and everything, but he left his fortune to his children who are leftists, and I don't know what their problem is. They feel guilty or whatever, but their guilt doesn't stop them from joining up with the globalists, okay, and doing everything they can to squeeze every penny out of their customers and their employees. But
not in California.
People who have made their own way appreciate life and appreciate what they have more than people to whom those fortunes were handed.
Sure.
So this is why most family businesses don't last more than 3 or 4 generations, if that long. And
Right.
There's infighting, there's jealousy, all kinds of things, and and nowadays with the indoctrination in the colleges and universities and even in high schools now, these people come out, go into the corporate world. They are all so anti-capitalist. They're capitalists, but they're anti-capitalists. They're crony capitalists. They are working against the system, the very system that rewards them for their supposed knowledge and expertise. And they oppress the people underneath them.
Yeah. Well, one of the big changes in criminals in the past thousands of years is that in the last 100 years, the criminals have become extra sophisticated, and they've learned how to undermine the society of countries that are honest. See, in the olden days, 500 years, 1,000, 2,000 years ago, criminals would just say, I'm coming into your village. I'm going to steal whatever I can. I'm going to steal all the women and kill all the men and have a nice day. Now people don't want to say I'm evil and I'm going to steal money. So they have a rhetoric. They have a philosophy that Allah told me that I can steal your money, take your wives, and kill you. So it's become, or Karl Marx told me, or Chairman Mao said. So in the last 100 years, there's been a much improved, from the bad guy point of view, cultural warfare. They've undermined our schools, the K through 12, the teachers' colleges, the universities, so as to get half of us to believe in the nonsense of the pagan nonsense, whether it's the red version, green version, or blue version. And that's why we have many civil wars going on in every single democracy, because half of every single democracy is basically either directly or indirectly working for our outside enemies. And that's one of the difference between traditional World War I and II. The war was fought over there. In World War III, to quote the Beatles, the war is here, there, and everywhere. And so that's why society is so confused and why we're arguing and so much with each other, because half of us brains have been taken over by the reds, the greens, and the blues, which I collectively call the pagans.
The Greens, are they the death cults?
Yes.
Yeah,
the Greens. I call Qatar, Turkey, and Iran the Islamists. I call them Islamo-Nazi death cults. And those death cults are going to end up killing themselves. Now, by the way, the Nazis were a death cult. Hitler was a death cult. The Japanese were a death cult. So the death cults are not just today.
Grand Mufti was out.
Yeah. So, and these death cults, once they get rolling, they through force and intimidation, they develop this following. And this following is held together through fear. In other words, so if you don't believe me, I'll kill you. Okay, I believe you, Mr. Leader. And so, yes, we're fighting death cults because under Judeo-Christian culture, we believe in life. We do anything we can to save life. Whereas and remember, we believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for 100% of the people minus the 10% criminals. But in the pagan countries, they only believe in life, living, happiness for the 10% who are pagans, the leadership. They're stealing all this money.
You stopped. Oh, you got an incoming call. Your recording stopped.
Yeah.
Okay. Ken?
Yes.
He's back.
Okay, you had a call coming in on your phone and it stopped your recording.
I
I'm sorry, continue.
I think it was one of the members of one of the blue group that did it. Those globalists have the power to do that.
Well,
I've said. Go ahead.
So yeah, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues.
Yes.
Yeah, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues don't like me, and and they don't like you, and they don't like us, and they don't like life, and they're unhappy people, but they are great criminals. And so the reason they hate us particularly, they don't want us to interfere with their mind control over their people. If you remember from your childhood days, the emperor has no clothes. And so you have everybody believing the emperor has clothes, and one little kid says, no, the emperor doesn't have any clothes. So they can't handle the truth. They can't handle freedom of speech. They can't handle the Ten Commandments. So that's why the pagans, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, have declared war on us, because they can't stand to have us being free, because we can infect their populations. And you can have the Chinese, look what's going on.
Frozen again.
Yeah, they got him again.
Sorry, I shut the phone off. The Iranians want freedom.
Yeah.
And 85% of the population.
Muslims by name. They're not Arab Muslims. They are Persians. Yeah, they were taken over just as all the Muslim countries were through fear. And that's why I've said for years that Islam is the perfect form of people control. This is why you get the communists backing them and these totalitarians backing them, because it's perfect. You say everybody, you claim that you're Islamist, and then you accuse your enemies of being apostates, and apostates are killed under Islamic law. So, and if anybody comes to their defense, oh, you must be an apostate too, you're going next. So people, can't talk.
That's exactly right. The Reds, the Greens, and the Blues are police states. And they have to be police states because they're trying to convince people of doing things that's not natural. So I have a little analogy. There's a chandelier in the room that I'm in. What if I announced to the two of you that the chandelier is God? I decided that the chandelier is God. And you say to me, chandeliers, that's not God. You're delusional, Ken. It's a wonderful chandelier, but it's not God. And then I bring in some guys with machine guns into your room and say, oh, do you still think the chandelier is not God? And with machine guns pointed, you say, okay, yeah, the chandelier is God. But as soon as those machine guns go away, you say, this is the stupidest idea I ever heard in my life. And so that's why they need to have police states, because they're imposing false narratives onto their people. And until finally the people won't take it anymore. If you remember the famous expression from the Network movie 40, 50 years ago, I'm as mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. And that's what's going on in Iran. And I'm so proud of the Iranian people. We have to help them, and fast. Or the criminals running Iran, they'll kill everyone in the country. There's 90 million people in Iran. 10 million, let's say, believe in the government because they're stealing money, and 80 million hate the government. They'll kill all 80 million people. we'll have the largest genocide in the history of genocides in the history of the world. I don't think President Trump or Prime Minister Netanyahu want to go down in history as presiding over the genocide of 80 million Iranians. So this is a good example of how we have to help people escape from these false narratives.
Yeah,
Well,
Iran years ago under Obama, while Obama was in office, had a revolution, but Obama didn't even give any verbal support to them. And the revolution died after they killed, I don't know how many thousands of people. It just died because they thought, so we're not getting any help. At least President Trump has encouraged them verbally and promised retribution if they keep killing indiscriminately.
37.
And his threats are not empty because of what happened with the nuclear strike.
37,000 dead. 37,000 dead.
That's that we know of.
It's on its way to 80 million, and we have to stop that. By the way, Obama was working for Iran. He was a Muslim. He wanted the Muslims to win. He was a Manchurian candidate, never should have been allowed to run in America. And so he was working for the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues. That's why the country was so poorly managed for his 8 years. And then Biden's term was Obama's third term. So we suffered from 12 years of having a foreign agent like Obama be president. And now, finally, the people, by the way, who voted for Trump, they became as mad as hell. They wouldn't take it anymore. Now we have President Trump as the president as a result. So we were a victim of the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues directly for 12 years. We're now starting to recover.
Yeah, those last 4 years were really bad because after Trump got in and upset their apple cart, upset their timeline, they said we have to do work faster. So they accelerated their communist takeover, and they exposed themselves in the process.
That's right. They did so many bad things so fast, representing their foreign enemies, our foreign enemies, the Reds, the Greens, and the Blues, that the people revolted. It took them
this has
4
been
years.
slow since the time of Wilson. It's been very slow. It's been little by little, getting us used to. We lost this, but that's okay. It's no problem. Life is pretty good anyway. It doesn't matter. We've lost, even from when we were children. I see that we've lost so many liberties that we had when I was a kid. We could talk and say anything we wanted to anyone, and without fear of being jailed or whatever. Now you get canceled and so forth. At least until Trump took over again, you get canceled and they destroy your career. Banks were debanking people. People got deplatformed on YouTube and other places like that. That's why I love being on Rumble, because I know we can put our stuff up.
What do you call Jan 6? Jan 6 people, they went there. Many of them went to protest. The FBI infiltrated them and basically established relationships with these people ahead of time and basically created the great lie, saying that it was an insurrection and to put fear into conservatives who would speak the truth, because they would pervert the law and send you to jail for whatever reason. Like in England, people are on the opposite side of the street praying for the unborn at abortion clinics, and they're arresting these people for praying silently. Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, the boot is on the necks of many people. And I have seen evidence throughout the world. This is a worldwide event. So we're Americans, so we tend to focus on ourselves, but this is a worldwide event. And what is happening is that the genetic material inside of us is revolting against these tyrants and standing up and understanding that it is better to take one beating than to be buried alive.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'm very encouraged by human nature. Now,
no, we lost your voice. Oh.
Yeah. So now I'm waiting for the people of Europe to rise up and overthrow their corrupt governments. in particular England
They're
and
starting
France.
to in some places, but you don't hear it here because the media will not tell us.
Right.
There was 200 protesters in
200,000 in Scotland, right?
Yes, yes.
200,000. Yes. What did I say? 200?
You said 200.
Sorry. 200,000.
200 is the amount of people that would show up at Biden rallies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Biden was horrific.
No,
Yes.
I think,
Well,
and I've accused them on this show and in some subtext of European leaders being traitors to Europe. I think they're being paid. I don't know where the money's coming from. If it's coming from, I think it's coming from the Greens because they have all the
well, it's
money.
coming from, yeah, you never know, but it's coming from either Reds, Greens, and Blues, and coming from our foreign enemies, because our foreign enemies have taken over half of our country. And our foreign enemies, the Reds, Greens, the Blues, have special agents in America undermining our country. Do you know what the name of these special agents are? They're called Democrats.
No.
And these
Oh, yeah.
Democrats, who are really Reds, Greens, and Blues, they're not really Americans. They don't believe in the Constitution and Bill
No.
of Rights. They don't believe in the Ten Commandments. They don't believe in the Old Testament. They don't believe in the New Testament. They don't believe in Judeo-Christian culture, the most successful culture in the history of cultures in the history of the world. And they're pagans. And we have half the country taken over by the pagans, and we have to fight damn hard to not let them take over the Republican states. And we have to work damn hard to move those Democrat states back into and make them real Americans again. We have a lot of work to do.
There are very few Republicans here in New Jersey who are real Republicans. Most of them are rhinos. They go along with the Democrats in whatever they do. I think they're all being paid. I can't say for sure, but this is my suspicion that they're all being paid, my opinion. And they are somehow being they're somehow being coerced into voting against the interests of their constituents. All the time.
The
right.
newest generation is also starting to show up at churches and synagogues, in various religious locations. And the thing is that there's an influx of these new spiritually awakened people, and they're the newest generation, which is great because we need their zeal, we need their energy, we need the hope that they bring by following traditional ways of thinking, because traditional ways of thinking lead to independence, and because your core is strengthened by something greater than yourself, a greater good. And so we're fortunate that this newest generation has seen what true corruption does, has seen the falseness of this hedonistic approach towards life. And they've seen both sides, and they've chosen the side you like.
Right. They chose the life, liberty, and happiness. It's not complicated. So
Yeah.
let me just conclude with this because I have to run to another meeting. When twice a year I go to some charity event by myself without my wife, I'm sitting next to some stranger, and you're sitting next to a stranger. Usually you say, "Well, what do you do?" When I sit next to a stranger, I say, "Oh, it's great to be sitting next to a fellow Republican." And half the time, the person on my left or right says, first, we don't know each other, but I'm not a Republican, I'm a Democrat. I said, no, I promise you, you're a Republican. Excuse me, I told you I'm a Democrat. I said, you want to take a 30-second quiz? They go, okay, fine. Okay, so I say, number one, do you believe in life? They go, yeah. Do you believe in liberty? Yeah. Do you believe in happiness? They go, yeah. I say, congratulations, you're a Republican and you didn't even know it. And so we have to re-educate the Democrats because 90% of them are salvageable. 10% are pure criminals. You can't fix that. 90% are Republicans, and they don't know it. And our job is to educate them to believe in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness for everybody and make them normal again. And so that's my prime motivator And I'm sure it's same for you.
We have
So
to
it was
remember
great.
that these people have been lied, misled, and they are still American citizens, and we have a duty to go ahead and leave no one behind, if possible.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ken, for showing. I know you've got time constraints, so you have to leave. I just want to tell the audience to please like, share this episode, and give us a 5-star rating, please. Share this with everybody you know, because it's important we get the word out. This is a very important topic that Ken is covering, that he's fighting for. So we'll see you again next time on The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines.
Thank you, Ken.